Good morning. Welcome back to the Service Business Mastery Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and live sitting next to me virtually is Tersh Blissett. And today we are going to be joined by a couple members of the Service Titan team, and we're going to be talking about, this is a really timely topic too, because I just looked at the weather in Wisconsin. It's 40 degrees today, but next week it's going to be in almost the 90s, if you can believe that. So we're going to be talking about reducing wasted ad spend, and maybe
it's going to be in the 90s.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been 90s for you already, but we're literally it's been nothing but rain and 40s for like the last week. So
that sounds like an amazing place to live.
No, it's not. Not when you have to wear sweats every single day. But we're going to be joined live by Sarah Gerardo and Johnny Wenzel of Service Titan. These two are phenomenal. They have a ton of marketing knowledge between the two of them. And I think we're going to learn a lot about not only a new product feature from Service Titan, but we're also going to learn a lot more about contractors and how to reduce your wasted ad spend, and maybe learn some finer details within pay-per-click and things like that contractors maybe don't necessarily know.
I'm proud to say that I'll be the guinea pig for the contractor side of thing, because I don't know any of this stuff. So,
well, we don't run paid ads for people either, so I don't really know any of this stuff. So, but we'll get started here, and make sure you guys bring your questions live, because these guys have a ton of really good information for you.
Yeah.
Are you looking for valuable business advice to reach that 7-figure revenue mark? Do you want actionable tips to properly navigate through every business challenge you encounter along the way? Let Tersh Blissett and Josh Crouch be your guide in getting you to the top here at Service Business Mastery. Tune in as they sit down with world-renowned authors in business, leadership, and personal growth who share valuable insights about management, marketing, pricing, human resources, and so much more. Let their nuggets of wisdom gold guide you in owning a thriving, profitable, and ever-growing business. Here are your hosts, Tersh and Josh.
Hey, Sarah and Johnny. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, guys.
Hey, how's it going? I feel like I've been in almost like every photo of that montage. Like, I was like, oh, well, I remember that conference. I was there.
Yeah, you pretty much you're everywhere we are.
Pretty much, yeah.
And even more so, like you've been traveling a lot. So
oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome, guys. Sarah, you're lucky that I did the intro today, because I got your name right.
Yep.
Tersh has a habit of asking people how to say their name and totally butchering it right after they said it.
Yep.
So, but
I would have got it right if I not asked too. So
yeah, yes. So people that don't know you guys, can we just do a quick, like, your 30 to 60 seconds, who you are, what your experience is, so that way we can kind of dive into today's topic and show them why you're an expert in this topic. Sarah, do you want to start?
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to start. I'm Sarah Gerardo, Senior Marketing Operations Manager here at Service Titan, but I've worked in the trades for about 7 years now. I was the Director of Digital Marketing for a large residential HVAC company, and digital wasn't all that I did. It's just a nice little title. So yeah, I'm just here to help as much as I can with the Marketing Pro products, but I also am the chair of Lady Titans, so a women's empowerment group. That's another side gig I do, and a marketing consultant. So yeah, that's me.
Fabulous.
Johnny.
Awesome.
Who are you?
Go ahead, Johnny.
Who am I? My name is Johnny Wenzel. Josh pronounced it right. I get a lot of Wenzel, so I appreciate that. So I've been a marketer in the trades for a decade. My focus is actually PPC. I worked at an agency. I managed the PPC team. And it was in Canada, so very familiar with all 4 seasons. Believe it or not, we do get sun and heat up in Canada as well. I've been with Service Titan for a year.
It's like 6 weeks a year.
Sometimes it feels like it. AC season's really short up there, but we do have it. I've been at Service Titan for a year and a half. Really, my entire career has been at this point shaped by this problem of wasted ad spend. I started in e-commerce, actually. as a university student, got an internship doing ads. They said, figure it out. And it was e-commerce. And I loved it because, you know, you spend $1 and you can see exactly how many sales you got from that.
Mhm.
And then I moved over to the trades and advertising and saw the way it worked is we give you phone calls, we give you leads, and then kind of like, that's it, good luck. And I felt almost like unethical about it. Like, am I actually helping you? Am I just like spending your money without knowing what's going on? And it ate away at me enough to where I was like, okay, I think we need to, you know, see if there's a way to solve this, a way to, you know, prove ROI and find out what's working and what's not, which led to some conversations with Service Titan who had the same vision. And so I've been with them for the last year and a half trying to solve this problem.
Awesome. So we'll start with a super loaded question. I'm sure there's not just one, but Sarah, let's start with you. So what would you say in on the paid ad side you see as one of the biggest questions that contractors don't ask their provider?
I think they're not asking any questions sometimes, right? And that's the problem. It's like they come in, they're like, I need a vendor. And I was the same way. Like my experience is internal marketing, right? I was inside of a business running their brand. And when I came into that business, this is what I'll tell you how I learned, and I had to learn quickly. I had an agency that at that time in 2012 that wasn't performing. They were wasting my spend within the first 2 weeks. And I had large spends. I had 5 locations. So wasting that spend and then asking for me for more budget, I had to learn as to what was happening. And I learned that we weren't day parting. I learned that we had traffic coming outside of the United States. We're in California. Like that didn't even make sense. Like, but wasn't managed. And what, you know, and it was measured, but the measurements that were coming out, no one understood them. And they didn't have time to ask the questions as to, okay, what does this mean in terms of conversion? Like what's actually happening? How do we innovate? How do we make this better? And I think that there wasn't a true partnership with the agencies. And the agencies are experts. I don't want to know it all. I want to know enough to innovate and to partner with the right people so that I could have those conversations. So that's kind of how I learned. I was like, oh no, I'm failing forward right now. I stepped into a giant bomb and I'm like, what do I do? I've got to learn. So I literally Googled it and, and yeah, and then took a lot of classes, you know, and been to a lot of conferences just to continue to learn what's going on. And I just think that we're just not asking enough questions. And knowing our numbers and holding someone accountable for what's going on and having real conversations with people because your agencies are right there and they want to help you so much. I mean, look at y'all. You're out there talking and educating people on different topics. Like that's meaningful. You know,
So what questions should we be asking? Like for somebody who hasn't gone through the trainings and everything else, like what's the number one question I should be like, all right, we should know this answer rough.
Or maybe like a top 3, because I'm sure there's not just one that you'd want to ask. But like if you guys both had a perfect list of a couple questions that like somebody who literally knows almost nothing. They know where the ad shows up. They just don't know what it does, how it gets there, anything. What kind of questions should they be asking?
What does my market look like? And you can ask any vendor this, right? They can give you a competitive analysis. They can give you market saturation. They can give you that information. But if you don't know your numbers to that market, that data that they're going to give you, you're going to just be like, you're going to take their numbers and say, oh, all of that's true, right? You need to know your capacity numbers and forecast for your marketing spend and kind of have a general idea of what you want to spend. So my question would be, do you know your numbers internally to be able to give to a provider, right? And say, hey, I want to spend.
We shouldn't just do PPC because everybody else is doing it.
No.
Because that's what I see. I see that. I'm like, everybody says I got to be on PPC.
Well, because it's Google and you're scared of Google and you're like, I should be on all of Google products. Like, yeah, sometimes, but sometimes not. It depends on your market and your area. And PPC, you saw the decrease in spend. now you're going to see different things happen as the market shifts. So my question to any owner would be, do you know your numbers enough to have a conversation with any vendor about my budget, about what's my market saturation? That's what the first I'd ask them. Tell me about my competitive analysis. Tell me about what you're seeing about my business in the audit. And then, okay, give me a couple of days so I can go and research all those things that you gave me in this cool report and say to myself, is this right? Right? I don't have to trust everything that you're saying. You're a vendor, and we're not there yet. So do your research. That's like my main thing. It's like, do you know your numbers enough to even go out to vendors and say, yeah, what
which
would
numbers
be my budget?
which numbers is it that we should know?
Your capacity, your the weather, like your budget. Like what's your budget to your capacity?
Mhm.
Like how
That's
much,
what I
how
would
much,
know.
how much are you setting aside to spend for that month or that whatever?
Well, if I ain't
quarter,
setting a
whatever.
dollar aside,
You probably should.
That's
run
not
a
enough.
PPC. Y'all gonna
Donnie,
hate
what would
turfs
be your
by the end of
question?
this.
Yeah.
I love playing devil's advocate.
Johnny, what questions would you tell contractors to ask? What would you add to that? Because I'm sure you have something just based on your experience.
Yeah, I've been on, I guess, both sides of it. More on the agency side, and I mean, honestly, I have yet to meet an agency that is like truly malicious. Like they all have good intentions. They all want to help you, but I mean, life happens. Sometimes they lose an employee or they take on too much work, and there's just so many different priorities that they're trying to balance, and sometimes your business is the one that gets put to the bottom of the pile. The squeakiest wheel does get the oil. So first of all, consistently asking questions. Like you just got to ask a lot of your agency. If you're worried about like bothering them or offending them, I know a lot of people are like, no, I bother my agency all the time. Like, good for you. You're actually getting probably a lot of attention on your account. If you're not like reaching out to them regularly, like you're probably getting forgotten for a lot of agencies. And again, they have good intentions, but they're just kind of jumping from fire to fire. Agency life is crazy. That you need to light a few fires for them to make sure that they give your account attention. So first, ask a lot of questions regularly. And I find the most valuable question to ask. I was speaking at Pantheon Service Titans user conference a week or two ago. And I asked a room of 300 people, how many of you know your ROI on PPC? And out of 300 people, about 5 people put up their hands. And I bet of those 5, only half of them were telling me the truth. So
they think they have an idea probably.
Yeah, but like 99% of people admittedly have no idea what their ROI is on PPC.
Why do you think that is? Out of 300 people, let's say 150 were doing paid ads. Maybe not all of them were doing paid ads, but so few actually know their ROI. Why do you think that is?
I think it's because they're owners and that's not their job to know it, right? Like that's why you have an internal marketer to give you those high level numbers. And if you can't afford it, that's fine. Your agency will tell you, but like have those conversations with your agency. Well, do you have the data to show me enough of the conversions and me looking back at that revenue to match it? That's why. I mean, I don't understand. Having an agency is so great because I don't want to do it all, but having a partnership that sees my data and I can give my data back to them, that makes more sense because data makes us smarter. So yeah, that's what, I don't know.
Well, having those transparency both ways, I think is huge because if data is locked down on the agency side and they don't let the contractor see it, or the contractor doesn't let the agency know how they're performing, that's when I think you run into a lot of problems where it's like, we're kind of guessing. Everyone's guessing and nobody really knows the truth. And that leads to, well, they're not being transparent with me. I'm going to go move on to the next person or the next one or the fourth one in 4 months. And you never really quite get what you want.
Yeah, you can't do that with agencies. Like they're consistent. You need that data. If you think about it, to build your campaigns, they have a template. Everything's a template and they have their own proprietary stuff. But really it's not about that. It's just about like what's the conversion, like what's happening in the back end so that we can both work together. And yeah, when there was only 5 people that raised their hand, I was like, oh no, like a tear
Were
shed
you
because
freaking out in the
it's
back of the room?
I was. I hit my boss and I was like, "Did you see that? Only 5 people raised their hand." And I was like, what do we do?"
Kirsch,
And so
I'm sure you know your numbers, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. Got him.
It's number 6.
you're on it.
I got it. Yep.
I mean,
So-
if I can add to that,
Go ahead.
the reason that we don't know is there's this culture. You know, I said when I joined, it was we provide leads as the agency, and that mindset has just been like persisting in the industry, and mostly because of technical limitations. It's hard to have that exchange of information between the agency and the marketer and the shop. But technology has changed a lot in the last 10 years, and people just need to change with it. You know, unless you have someone listening to every single phone call and manually attributing everything, which there's still a lot of human error there. There's been these limitations, and that's what we've been working at. You know, as the CRM, we kind of have the ability to break that at Service Titan. That's why what we've been working on. But again, it's not malicious. It's just the agencies haven't had a way to do it in the past. You know, Zapier didn't exist, and unless they have an in-house team of engineers that can build advanced integrations, just hasn't been possible. So,
A lot of
Leslie, you better-
agencies.
She better not be saying that about me. I talk.
She is. She's
I
talking
talk
about
plain
Josh.
She's
language.
totally saying that about you, Josh. The other day she sent me a video and she was like, "You're too smart. Can you just like not?" And I was like, "Okay."
But she's
we have
right
these
though. A lot of
conversations.
times it's agencies are saying terms that are almost proprietary to their agency. And so we get, as a contractor, you get a report, and it's a really fancy looking report, looks amazing. But I don't understand what it means. And it's like, you had this many impressions, you had this many clicks, you had this many whatever, and then you're like, then they throw in a special word that's their own word that they've made up for their agency, and it's a massive number, and it's like, oh wow, we did a really good job, but I didn't make any money. So why is that? You know?
But contractors do the same thing with search, right? We're like, "Oh, we don't want you to search for a capacitor,"
Yeah, I
right?
get
And
it.
so we
No, I
change the
get it.
names. And it's confusing, but it doesn't have to be confusing. You can ask there's tools and tips to be like, "Oh, this is what this means," but really you know the story of the call. And if you think of the data points as a story, then it's a little bit easier to tell yourself. I went out to Mary's house, right? And Mary saw my billboard, and so that's a marketing conversion.
Yeah.
Think about this. Okay, I want you to think of it as a story. Mary went out, she saw my billboard, she really liked it, and she went home and she was like, "Oh no, I need to turn on my AC." Well, she turned on her AC, there was a clicking noise, and she needed to call someone. She remembered your billboard, you were top of mind, and she called you. Conversion point in there, right? Well, when she called you, your CSR didn't answer the phone or did answer the phone, or it was abandoned. Those are all KPIs inside of there, and they're all missed, or they're all opportunities.
Mhm.
Now, then we continue it. Now, does the technician, okay, so we booked the call. Yay, like that's awesome. But it's not going to run for 2 to 3 days. And so there's a potential of cancellation rate. And
Yep.
so there's another KPI. And then if it does run, now I've got my technician out in the field, and there are multiple KPIs with my technician. Do they set a lead? What price are they setting it at? All of these things, like you can go all the way down to install and then back again for the customer journey. So all of these measurements are parts of what we wanted to bring out with the ad solution, and not all of those specifically, but when you look at your data, that's how you look at it. You look at it as a story of the customer journey. And then it makes more sense to you because you were actually there doing the customer journey, right? Like your CSR answered the phone. They were a part of it. And if you explain that to someone on a human level, then they start to understand like, oh, I need to deliver a remarkable experience. And that helped your conversion opportunities every part of the way increase because, PPC is because you waste so much money on PPC and it's hard to convert. When they do convert, you have to capture it. And I think that was the point that I was getting to, is that those are the numbers that you need to know, because it's not just, do I have revenue attached to it? It's, am I making the conversion happen? Right?
Yeah.
So Johnny, you were kind of brought in because of your experience to help with this product and develop this and develop a way for contractors to better understand their spend on PPC and attribute things the right way. Can you dive into the product a little bit for us, and just kind of tell us what it's going to help solve, or at least what you guys are trying to solve?
Yeah, absolutely happy to. And so before my time at Service Titan, I had built kind of a prototype of this. And really what it does is, right now, the way that usually it works within a Google Ads account is you can see conversions, which are, phone calls, maybe form submissions, maybe live chats if you're more advanced, you have that set up, and you're optimizing towards that. And this is a big cause of wasted spend, because Google more and more is becoming, automated. It's becoming self-driving. In a month, they're going to control the final product. And that's materials that you have to deal with. All it knows is get you more phone calls, get you more form submissions. That's all it knows. Probably most importantly, it doesn't spend all that budget. And most importantly, it doesn't know that this type of phone call tends to lead to a $10,000 install job. And this type of phone call leads to like an inspection fee that rarely closes. It just doesn't have that visibility, but it's still making all these decisions, trying to get you as many phone calls as possible. And so there's so much waste when its algorithms are pumping out phone calls that aren't turning into anything. You're getting an $80 cost per lead, cost per conversion, and those conversions aren't going anywhere. You're wasting $80 every time the phone rings. So
yeah, that's where I watch those KPIs and that the marketing spend there, and then I see that it comes from a PPC, and then the call gets dropped or gets canceled, and that's where I know whose head to go chop. Like, oh, you didn't convert? Chop your head.
No, it's gonna happen. Like, I mean, people think about search, right? Like, people go just search for options. So there are so many options out there that sometimes they're just gonna not choose you.
Yeah, a lot of price shoppers,
even if
things like that.
Yeah, well, even if they do it, and honestly, because we use CallRail for all of our clients and stuff like that now. So we'll go in there and usually if there's an issue, like someone's like, well, I need more leads. I'm like, well, let's go listen to your phone calls. And I usually uncover quite a few things in there, missed calls, calls going to voicemail, unanswered, stuff like that I'm like, all right, let's have a discussion about this. But this types of things, having those things in place, like, it's 2022. If you do not have an overflow answering service, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's your mother, like somebody to pick up the phone and say, hi, we are this company. You need to have something in place. Like, no more voicemail. Like, as soon as voicemail clicks over, people hang up almost every time.
But here's the thing, like, how many times can you have an after-hour service or an overflow service answer the phone and say the wrong name? And it's like, oh, I'm going to stab the next person that does this. And it's not a difficult name to say,
What is happening over there, Tersh? Like, we're coming to
I
visit.
think we need to peel back the onion on
Sometimes
this.
you wake up in the morning and you just choose violence.
Yeah, that sounds like today.
Today is the day.
Today is the day.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
No, but it is frustrating
getting...
when you do have that, when you have that phone, when you're listening to these calls and they're saying, yeah, this service Imperior, like, are you serious? Emperor. Emperor is the name, Service Emperor. Like, why do you have challenge with that? And like, then I just get uber mad whenever I hear stuff like that. And then the person's like, I think I called the wrong number. Click.
Yeah. Well, that's a little deeper problem. I don't know if we have enough time to solve
Obviously,
that
that topic touched the nerve.
Yeah.
Everyone's quiet, like, I don't know what to say, Tersh.
I'm glad you
Just
got that
fired
off
that
your
one.
chest.
Oh.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all listening. I really do.
Yeah, mental health is
Yeah.
very important.
We're-
and we
we're
definitely
here for
talk
you.
about it.
Connie says, we're here for you.
So back to like tracking this stuff. So you guys are developing, so like CallRail, we have what's called dynamic call tracking, dynamic number insertion, which I don't know if one of you guys want to take a stab at like a really short explanation for this. I always end up with like a 2-minute explanation because I don't really know how to explain it in like 15 seconds. So I don't know if one of you guys can like explain that super quick, that if people don't know what that is or they're not familiar with the term, they can understand it, because it's just, otherwise it's just another acronym thrown around that nobody has any idea what it is.
Johnny,
Yeah, it's a
Sarah, you didn't
voodoo
want to take that
website
one, did you?
phone number magic.
you know how I talk.
Yeah, so I mean, like what the Service Titan product is Google doesn't know your business. What we do is we feed it revenue, actual revenue data, so that it has a smarter signal to go off of. And DNI, or call tracking, is the mechanism by which all of that happens. So what it is, oh man, how do I do this in 15 seconds and not minutes?
Okay, you can take 2 minutes. That's fine.
Okay, let's see 60 seconds or less. So really what call tracking does, and for the record, we built our own call tracking solution, but some people really like theirs, like CallRail, or one of the other options out there. And we've allowed it so that people can bring their own and integrate it into our system, so that they can, because a lot of agencies, like, they have like whole workflows and reports built around like a certain provider, so they can connect with their own, or they can switch to ours, which is included with the Marketing Pro product for free. Well, I guess Marketing Pro is not free, but if they sign up, there's no additional cost for call tracking. But what it does is we need a way to connect what happens on the website to what's happening with the phone call. It's another gap where they don't talk to each other. And so what we do is we have a script on the website that shows a unique number to every visitor and captures all of the web session information. That includes, the source that they came from. Was it Google? Was it Bing? It probably wasn't Bing. Was it paid?
Don't be excited when you say
paid?
Bing like that. Bing does get some traffic.
It gets-
DuckDuckGo has actually been growing. DuckDuckGo has been growing quite a bit as well. Not
every
nearly
year,
what
more and
Google
more.
is, but it's still growing.
Right. But like in the kind of the code of the website, you can see all the information of, where did that visitor come from? If they came from Google Ads, you can see the ad, the keyword, the search term, the device, all of like that data that actually is on the website, hidden. And when they call the number, so we replace whatever phone number is on the website with a unique number for that visitor, assign it to all of that data. And when they call and you create a customer for that with name, address, and all of that, we can assign, here's the Google click information, here is the ad campaign, ad group, the cost of that click, all of that information. And as a result, we're able to push revenue back into Google Ads. And then for our solution in Service Titan, you're able to see impression data and revenue data and booking rates and all of that kind of side by side in a single table, which allows you the visibility as a business owner or marketer to know what's going on along the whole customer journey. And it allows marketers to see what's happening after they've generated the lead.
No, that's nice to
Why
have,
do we-
especially from the marketing side.
Yeah. Like, why do you really want it, Johnny? What's happening with data? What's happening with attribution? What's happening with privacy, right? In the world, like, it's getting more limited. And so that's why like you want more data, you want more attribution because you need to know the customer journey, and because it's only going to get more limited as time goes on. So that's why I would
True.
want
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and then it helps. I mean, just knowing that stuff and seeing that data with that tracking script, you know which keywords people are typing in. You can optimize a lot of different things, and that's like a whole nother segment of like going really deep into the PPC side of things, where you can really get into the ad copy, the landing page, you know, all the different pieces of the ad that work together to serve it to a customer. But as far as like that call tracking script, how do you guys, and we didn't talk about this beforehand, but do you guys have a way, because I know there's contractors out there that their agency does not create separate landing pages, so they're using their primary website, their their service pages or location pages for their PPC and their organic traffic. Is your guys's platform going to be able to segment that if they came on organic search versus a paid search?
Yes, it will. That's
Okay.
kind of the magic of it, is you don't need,
That's good to know.
you actually don't assign a number to all of your campaigns anymore. We automatically do that for you with the call tracking,
Josh,
including our
Josh,
organic.
this is my impression of Josh. I'm going to ask a 30-minute long question. Johnny says yes.
Are you telling me I should get to the
provided
point a little faster?
No, you did a great job, Josh. You did an amazing job. Good job.
So with
Is it such a
what
good question? Only needed a single
It
word
is.
answer.
Right?
yeah, that I literally limited it down to like, it's yes or no, Johnny. Tell me. So as far as like when it gets into like the data, because Sarah, I know you're a big data proponent, and Johnny, I'm sure you've seen tons of data. Where would you say, if you had to give like one or two suggestions to any contractor listening to this, of how they can, like, common areas where agencies might waste some money because maybe they don't know the industry as well, in ways that like they can make a subtle hint, like maybe we should do this, or maybe just something to give them, so that way they can talk to their agency or whoever's running their paid ads, if it's someone they know or whatever. I hope that question makes sense. I'm sorry I rambled on again for another 20 minutes, but
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yes. No, I'm just kidding. Sarah, do you want to? I feel like I've talked a lot. Sarah, do you want to?
No, I would love you to talk a lot. Keep going.
Okay.
You're welcome, Leslie.
I look great with a mug. Like, I'm just gonna sit here with my mug.
I forgot mine. It's so I spoke at a conference a few years ago, and I was like feeling super bold that day, and I said, "Any one of you show me your ads account, and if I can't save you $100, I will pay you $100." It was just, way overconfident.
that's the type of conference we all need to go to.
Right.
Yeah, I should have said, and you have to pay me that $100. Maybe would have made something, but probably 10 of them took me up on it, and I within 5 minutes saw $100 of waste, so quickly, so easily, and that was without looking at new even. There's just so many simple things. So I mean, just if the agency doesn't have any visibility into operations, and if you can do that through software, great. If you aren't doing that, then regular conversations. With one client that we had a shared Google Doc that they would populate certain information, and it would alert me whenever that was done, and so I can make real-time changes. And talking about capacity, for example, where they were really booked up, and so I would turn off their poorer performing campaigns so that we could focus the last few capacity slots on the high performing, high ticket campaigns. That kind of conversation, seasonality, kind of knowing when it's the shoulder season and how to approach it. So just an understanding of what's going on in the business. I mean, I hope you don't have this problem, but if you have a CSR who's just really struggling, maybe you're a smaller shop and it's their shift, like say, maybe pause some ads or lower the budget, because I don't think we're going to close that many. I mean, like that's a far-fetched case that probably
That is
I
so
hope
far
you
fetched.
have.
I don't
I
think
would not
so.
do
I don't think so. Not even the slightest bit far fetched.
You in the call center, we have discussions.
Yeah,
But like
I don't
that's
know.
the call center is perfect, right? Like when it's after hours, maybe don't run ads during after hours because our call center is
Oh
really struggling.
yes, sweet baby
Like
Jesus.
that's
No,
wasted spend.
it
Let's
is.
focus the
It is
budget
horrible.
on when Tersh's mom is answering. So
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I would say you can start with looking at the call capture rate. Like look at your call capture rate, see who's answering the phone. For us, we directed all digital calls to a digital speed lead team, right? Because they have a different conversion, they have a different conversation, and they're calling for different reasons with digital. And so you've got to be able to capture that quickly, and if not, follow up on it even quicker. So you can start there. And then once you have the data in front of you on that new ad dashboard, you can start to say, oh, let me go into the weeds a little bit. And that's the cool thing. It's like you can just see your data, and it's transparent, to the agency, and it's transparent to you as a customer. And so that's what we want. We want transparency, because it brings the marketer up to actually be a marketing pro, and it brings the agency up to say, oh my gosh, I know I can look and say seasonality is happening. Capacity, you don't have the capacity. But we always had those conversations with our agencies about, hey, you got to turn it down, I'm missing 10 people. You got to turn it up, I don't have any calls, right? We think that PPC is like a lever that we can go up and down it, but what I've learned is that it's about consistency. And yeah, if you want to add more budget, okay, but don't expect it to be like, oh, you're going to bring in 5,000 more calls because you just threw in 5,000 more dollars. It just doesn't happen like that. We have to have strategy in our marketing and our advertising in order to understand that the continuous flow is what we want, not the ups and downs. So
yeah, no, that's a great point. We have a question from Leslie. So I'll put it up on the screen and then I'll read it just so for people that are listening. She asked, what would you say about an agency that doesn't allow the client to have access to their own ads account, and they can only see a separate dashboard created by agency or by an agency?
that's a good
Don't all
question.
jump at once.
Yeah, so I see both sides of it, because the agency I used to work for had that policy as well. We don't want the client to have access to the account. And there's two main reasons for that. One is, once it's built, there's pretty easy ways for you to download it and then like import it into a new account and then like run it live. And
so if there's like proprietary, like just stuff that you got really good at doing that maybe other agencies aren't doing, and negative keyword lists and stuff like that, you're saying that some of that stuff you kind of trying to keep that in-house a little bit, so that way it's not just downloaded and can be sent out to whoever you want. Is that what you're saying?
Well, sent out, or you could just fire the agency and now you have the account that they built, fully.
Yeah.
Google, and the person paying owns it, so you technically own it, so the agency can't do anything about it. The other is there's a fear of someone read-only access. This isn't a problem, but like going in and making changes that can really affect your strategy as the expert. And so I understand that side. However, I always fought against that and said they should have access, because I think you should embrace visibility. If you have that kind of relationship where you're worried that someone's going to steal your stuff and spread it out in the world, or just like steal what you built and fire you, like as an agency, you don't want that person as a client. Like if that's the kind of person that they are, like you're not going to want to work with them for the next few years. So like,
True.
Cool, let them go. And I've seen cases where it gets held hostage, where it's like being in a relationship or a marriage, and saying like you're never allowed to look at my phone. Just like that
That's not
expectation.
toxic at all.
That's Pandora's box right there. Somebody just got
Yeah.
hurt. Somebody's feelings are hurt.
Yeah, maybe not the best analogy, but
It's
if
okay,
you're not
John.
willing to show your phone, then there's probably a reason, right? And so just having a trust relationship between the client and the or between the contract agency, I think is important. So that's what I would say to that question.
Okay. As far as, so I guess I'll take that question a little further. So, because I hear this, we don't run paid ads. I think Sarah, you may know that we don't run paid ads. So for me, this is more of a question for those that do paid ads with other companies. But what about, because I've seen that there's I don't know if it's strategies out there or whatever, where clients will pay the marketing company and that marketing company pays Google versus paying Google directly. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? If they have an agency that's doing that, and I guess I don't know why that is, but do you have any thoughts on that? Why that might be, and maybe would that concern you as a contractor that your bill is going to a certain marketing company and not Google directly?
Would that mean that I don't own my own data? Would that mean that I don't own my own content? I'd have to look at that service language agreement, right? Like, what does that mean in terms, like, I'd have to ask more questions to know more. You know, I can't make an assumption that they are buying on behalf of me because they might have more leverage to buy, right? But even just as an agency, they could have, if they're a Google certified agency, they have more leverage to buy Google products than I do. So yeah, that would just, Johnny, what would you do?
Yeah, typically it's the way that agencies charge is percentage of spend. So if you spend $1,000, maybe their rate's 15% or 20%. So if you give them $1,000, they pocket 200, spend 800 on media. And so for like simplicity of billing, it tends to be the case that that's why they'll do it. That being said, if that is the arrangement, like you should ask for either access to the account or like ads invoices sent to you. Again, I haven't met a malicious agency yet, but there can be mistakes, and it should be 20%. But if you see a Google, and the other side of it actually is sometimes it's hard to spend the budget certain times of year ever, and so maybe you gave them $1,000, you're expecting 800 of that to go towards media. They were only able to spend 600 of it. Where's the other 200 or whatever?
Yeah.
And they may have a strategy of what we're going to roll that over to next month and have that be applied, but you need to be on top of that just to make sure that it doesn't get lost
As
anywhere.
long as that's clear ahead of time, because like I had one time where I was spending $2,500 a month and we didn't have any ads running. Like, where the heck is all this money going? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. And
Well,
they're
it's
like, oh yeah,
and then your fee, right? Like, so what is really getting run?
Yeah, and so they told me later on, well, we're adding it over here. We're adding it, in this area. Like, that's fine, but I wish I would have known that, before now. Like, I shouldn't have had to ask for that information. You should have told me that's what we were doing. But either way.
Yeah, it's just that transparency. And I think that's what we're all looking for is transparency in the world of marketing and contractors, because there's so much lack of education on the marketing side. Because look, most of the business owners are really good with tools in their hand, but they're not marketing whizzes, or that's not how they gathered all their experience in the trade. So learning this stuff, all the KPIs, all these acronyms, all these like different things can be very overwhelming and take a lot of time and effort to learn. So I think it's just asking, just like Sarah pointed out earlier, ask a lot of questions. Or I don't know if maybe it was Johnny, I don't remember. But just ask questions all the time. And it's okay to ask questions. If your marketing agency gets annoyed by you, you probably don't have a good partner. and you should probably look for somebody else that doesn't get annoyed by simple questions and stuff like that. Is there anything on the paid side of things or on the ads product through Service Titan that we didn't touch on that you guys want to talk about? Good. We did a great job.
Boom. Mic drop.
Yep. Mic drop.
Yeah, not that one.
Either that or your
20
coffee
minutes
ran
ago,
out and
way
you need
too
a
much
refill. So where's the best place for somebody if let's say they have Service Titan already and they want to reach out and maybe be part of the open beta, or they just want to learn more about this product, where should they go?
They can just contact Johnny directly. His phone number is I don't know.
I was gonna say, should we drop his phone number down at the bottom so everyone can start texting Johnny?
His
Talking
DNI
to
number
him.
that you can see will be on his landing page if you can find that. We'll send you a link
Yeah.
to where you can sign up for the ads beta if you're on Service Titan, or if you want to find out more information, we'll follow up with you in regards to that. But it is available, and if you have Marketing Pro Full Suite, that is, it's a start. It's a start to learn your data. It's a start to bring something in, to look at the attribution, to get a little bit closer to the customer journey. And if you are an HVAC owner, just my suggestion would be to continue to have great conversations with your agency. Know that they are not out there to get you. We're working with agencies at Service Titan to have them become certified in marketing, and really know the business in terms of your capacity, your seasonality, like your numbers, because that's so important for both of us to leverage that power and partnership together. So, just have those awkward conversations where you're like, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing, and be okay with that. I've had many of them. Josh, I message you on Facebook and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So
Believe me, it's a two-way street. So awesome, guys. Well, this was great. We had a lot of really good stuff in the comment section and stuff like that too. We didn't get to all of them. I don't think we missed any questions, did we, Tersh?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So if there's anything else, Sarah and Johnny are usually very approachable through social media and stuff like that too. There is, if you are a Service Titan user, there is a Marketing Pro Facebook group that Sarah drops a lot of industry related knowledge, both from Service Titan and from a lot of other really good sources. So if you guys are not in that group and you have Service Titan, check that group out, and feel free to ask any questions to any of us, and we'd be happy to help you guys, at least point you in the right direction if we don't know the answer.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Thank you, Johnny and Sarah, for coming on the show.
Thank you, guys. This is
Yeah.
great.
You're welcome. You're not going to say May the
Thanks
4th
for
be
having
with
us.
you, because that would be 5, Josh.
That's 5 times today.
Yeah.
See you guys later.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.